Hey guys, it's Takeover Tuesday here on the Pat on Fin Podcast Network. John Rapp here with the Rusty Hook. Going to do a little rambling and talking about professionalism tonight. So, without further ado, let's get this show kicked off. Talking about professionalism there, huh?
You're watching the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast, presented by Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power, there's something for everyone. ZPRO Lithium, serious power for serious anglers. DuBro Fishing, American marine application and soft plastics. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom bait maker. Raw and unfiltered. Streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Bringing you gear reviews and candid interviews from the industry's best. Angler profiles, tournament news, and legendary knowledge from kayak fishing's best. Grab that cold drink and get settled in. Now here's John Rapp, our host.
So, got a little technical difficulties here. My mic decided to fall down after I stretched it out. See if we can get it to work here. Hopefully, I still have sound. So, guys, tell me, do you hear me? Am I making any noise out there? Funny how things happen when you're trying to move things around on your desk to get things up and running. How about a comment or two out there? Let me know what's going on. Well, that's fine. I can talk to myself. So, I thought, I've been busting out some spreadsheets here, reading contracts, reviewing contracts, and looking at activity from different fields of the spectrum of kayak fishing, boat fishing, and just want to go over some of the things that I feel like that we could do better as a community and as individuals who make, who put up their signature on a document, who fill out applications to be a part of something. It's all about integrity, and I just feel like that if you're not worth your word, if your signature doesn't mean anything, why do it? I mean, I manage 2 teams, getting ready to start a 3rd team, and I'm not hard to work for. And the companies that I work with are extremely laid back. And when when you're asked to do something and you agree to it, do it. Do it. There is a huge difference between being a professional fisherman or being someone who gets paid to fish and someone that is promotional fisherman or part of a promotional staff. There are some intersecting bodies to that. Your lanes will cross over. In the military, you always did what they called a sector sketch. You may be responsible for this area of a sector, but the guy next to you has some overlap. And what I mean by that is when you're a professional, look at the guys that are professional fishermen. Where do you see most of those guys at in person? They are at retail events, trade shows. Why are they there? Well, the reality is they're there because they have a relationship with one of those companies. They're there on their behalf. They've inked a contract. They've got paid or they've received product to be at a location, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. They get something, the company gets something from them, which is their presence, their voice, their followers, and likewise the company. So that's a professional fisherman, and that professional fisherman may have gotten those contracts with those companies based on several factors, and that's how they do on the circuit that they fish. They could be a very well respected and placed angler in those tournament events. They could finish frequently in the top 10, walking the stage. When they walk the stage and they get to talk to the public at those events, they're sharing their successes, how they succeeded, and what products they use. And that's in one way. Other ways could be you're an event organizer. Let's say you own a trail or run a trail, bass boat or kayak fishing. It doesn't matter. You're working on behalf of the people that are part of that trail that sign up to fish it. You're working with the companies that endorse you and promote you and provide product or money, trophies, etc. It's all about relationships. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that when you sign something or sign a contract, you should be willing to meet your end of it. So I act as a club manager for one of the companies I work with, which is ZPRO Lithium. And I got to say, 95% of the clubs I worked with were outstanding this year. And they lived up to their end of the contract. But a few dropped the ball. And they could improve on what they do. I mean, it's not hard to get in front of a camera and talk about a product and reward someone with a check or a certificate or a trophy and talk about a product. And if it's hard, then maybe you shouldn't reach out and talk to those companies that are investing in you, whether it's with money, product, swag, or all the above. So when you run an organization, you should be a professional. You're a professional fisherman. It's part of being in the arena of collecting a check or sponsorship. Now let's talk about promotional staff. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've seen over the years. A lot of guys out there, hey bud, I got my black cat is getting around Halloween. He's wanting to go outside. But as a promotional staff person, when you, and I've covered this topic several times over the last 4 years on the Rusty Hook, but don't be somebody that's just looking to add something to your banner on your Facebook page to the left side that you work for or you sponsor for. You ever seen those people that have 6 to 10 or 12 companies that they represent? I mean, that must be a full-time job for somebody, because that's a lot of work if you're doing it right. Now, granted, there is a lot of overlap if you are smart about what you do. Like, I encourage guys with my battery company, ZPRO Lithium. I mean, a battery is something that needs, it works with something in tandem, right? So Dean Bowling, what's up, my man from Georgia? That battery is going to be working with either a trolling motor, lights, electronics, or something. So if you've got a relationship with the motor company, let's say Newport, when you're talking about your battery, you could talk about Newport as well because they work together. That's a great way to network. And that's a great way to show how the products intertwine and work together. Clothing companies, how they keep you dry. NRS, man, I love the NRS products. I've got just about all of them. Blake has been wonderful to me over the years. But I'm not sponsored by NRS. But I know the folks that run it. Go down to my store here at Ace Adventure Resort, Ace Adventure Gear Shop, the gear shop in Fayetteville. They carry all the NRS products I need, and I go in there and I buy them. I support that store who supports my community. And we should support all of our stores. You got Elevations, Wild Outdoors, you got Mountaineer RV here in West Virginia. All of those different entities support the kayak fishing community. If you're in those areas, support them. We'll take a quick break and let this little dude outside. Y'all hang tight. I'll be right back. Speaking of which, I'm going to run this cross kick commercial. Shoes are important.
I was initially introduced to cross kicks by doing a Google search looking for the perfect shoe that would allow me to unload my kayak from the ramp without changing shoes, getting in the boat, fishing all day, and being able to come back, get in the truck, and go home.
The big thing for me that made me wear cross kicks over other shoes was the versatility. I can go to the boat ramp, and then when I'm done at the boat ramp, I can go meet my wife and kids for a nice dinner and wear the same shoes and have, nice looking, comfortable shoes on.
I ordered cross kicks because of the backing strap, the drainage. Visually, I thought this has got to work better. Tried the shoe within the first week, felt it was phenomenal. It works for me. It allows me to rinse my feet off in the water, get back in the vehicle, continue on my day, and never have to change shoes throughout the day.
It keeps me comfortable all day long. That is a huge factor on the water. Comfort, comfort, comfort. And especially my feet being comfortable, protected, and knowing that when I step off my kayak, I'm gonna have good solid foot traction. That's a great feeling to have.
By the time I put my kayak in the water and get out and load my equipment up, my shoes are already dry. And I wouldn't change that about cross kicks for anything.
So we got a discount code for cross kicks. If you guys go look it up, it's on our Paddle and Fin page. Need a pair of shoes for the upcoming year? Make sure you go hit that code up, save yourself 20%. Hey, while I'm thinking of it, a couple weeks ago we had a show where we talked about, had Drew Gregory, Nate Scanner, and of course the infamous Attorney X, Dwayne Wally. And what we were doing is it was right after all of the incredible events that occurred down in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, from Hurricane Helene. In a sense, you had Milton blow through Florida right after that. So there's been a lot of areas in the South that were affected by some nasty weather. North Carolina was hammered. And I want to give a shout out to Nate and his folks. They ran a 2-week tournament. And as you can see here, it's wrapped up as of yesterday evening. But they had 181 people sign up. And over 736 fish caught. You can see it got highlighted over to the right there. But that's outstanding, because what I love about what Nate did there, and I want to give a shout out to Attorney X and Dwayne Wally too, is that he waived his fees for these events, for this event, for the event that the guys out in California had, and Drew Gregory's event. I mean, he waived the $6 plus fee to Attorney X, so that money could be sent to the folks involved in these accidents. This tremendous hurricane that blew through and created the havoc. I was talking to one of the guys today. They're still down in western North Carolina. There's still over 100 people missing. We're 3 weeks later into it, so obviously the water and the mudslides and everything that occurred down there have unfortunately hid some people from rescue or recovery. I want to give a shout out to one of my guys, Deshaun Johnson, for going down there, and Cotton. Those guys, both of them respectively in the military through the National Guard, went down and provided assistance. There's been also several people here from West Virginia that have packed up trucks and went down. Even one of my little buddies here who owns a tree cutting service, he took his crew down there and they've been doing a lot of tree removal work down in the South Carolina area. So kudos to them. I don't know what happened with this event here, but with the 181 anglers that signed up at $35 a piece, you're looking easily over $5,000. On top of that, there was a donation portion to this too. So kudos to everybody that signed up here for the relief effort for Western North Carolina. And I hope all that money is put to good use, helping somebody get back on their feet down there. But I just wanted to mention that. So. You fellas out there, I'm curious how you guys feel about today here in West Virginia. Was the first day that is being cold. Reached a high temperature of 44 degrees right here where I live. 44 degrees. Yesterday it was in almost 72, 73 degrees. So a huge drop in temperature. Past few days was pretty. It's been, drought here in West Virginia. Most of the Appalachian area has been affected by that. So southwest area here. But, we got rain today and it was cool. So I went out to meet one of my guys here in West Virginia. He's going up to Susquehanna. I loaned him my 36-volt battery. He's going to go up and play with it, have a second battery just in case for that big native power event that's going on up on the Susky here starting this weekend. So I wish you well, Rick, and go up there and slam them and catch you some big smallies for us. But, it was cold. I'm going to tell you, I took a little chill. I mean, I went out and fished 2 days for this event here on the 14th. I'm not sure where I finished at. I wasn't right around 60th. Let's see, out of 181. Well, I fell down to 66. So not bad had 77 inches here in West Virginia. I'll take that every day for a little tournament. Really just want to, what I'm trying to say here, what I want to put out is that something like Nathan did, that shows huge integrity and professionalism. He stepped up, and one of the things this episode I'm talking about is, your integrity is everything, and your word is everything in this sport. And it's a small network of people here. Granted, Tourney X has over 100,000 people signed up, but you got to figure a third of those people may have only done a dozen tournaments over the last year and a half. They just getting involved. My ID from 10 years ago is number 88. So that tells you a little bit about how fast and how much the sport has grown. We've all seen the small things that have happened over the years that have had people's integrity questioned in sporting events, in fishing events, and it stinks because it takes time for those. Even if it's questionable and maybe you're not wrong, you're always going to be looked at with the side eye, and so always do the right things the right way, and be right 100% of the time. Appear to be right and be right. So what I've touched on here, I've talked on professional fishermen and how they go and they develop relationships and they sign contracts with companies. And, then you have, that's a professional fisherman. So that professional fisherman has crossed lanes into promotional. He is now a promotional staffer for a company using his skills as a well-rounded tournament angler who's finishes high, or you even have well-rounded tournament anglers who may not be walking the winner's circle or going to stages 1 or stage 2 or even to the stage 3 or 4 level. They might get knocked out, but they still have following. So then you got promotional staff, and promotional staff, guys, you're signing a contract as well with the company or an entity, and make sure you follow through. Read those contracts, guys, and check those boxes. Make sure you do everything that they ask you to do. I think it's important not only for the company but for you. And communication is everything. I've had guys, several of my team members this year had family members that got sick or passed away, or they were sick or ill themselves or had injuries that limited their ability to get out and fish, to get out and create content, to take a picture. But guess what? They can still share a post from the company. And they were doing that, There's many ways that you can work with companies as long as you communicate with the people that you work with. Communication, we all know how it's important for what we do, not only with our wives, with our kids, with our work employees, but being part of a pro staff is a job. It's a job. You have expectations, and when you sign up for something like that, you should try to meet those expectations or exceed them. I've got some guys that are just hammers out there and have done above and beyond what needs to be done. And it's because it's self-pride and integrity. They want to exceed the minimum expectation. It's a lot like when I was a state trooper. You would have guys, staying out hours and hours after their shift was over, talking to people to try to find leads on drugs or stolen property or a name of someone that may be breaking into homes. I did it myself. So, it's not about creating a name for yourself, but it's trying to meet an objective. It's trying to do more than what's just expected. And granted, if you have signed something and all that's required is 1 or 2 posts a month or a share of a post from the company, or send a 20 or 30-second reel once a quarter. I mean, so they can use it on social media. And guys, we do that anyway. I mean, I don't know about you, but I put my Insta360 to work this year. I probably have over 100 videos out on the water, and I can guarantee you that of those 100 videos, that half of them have this hat, this jersey, or a Feelfree hat or jersey in them. Because as you can see on my Rusty Hook podcast thing there, those 3 companies up there are the companies that I love, I work with, I support, and I want them to succeed. And you know what? Those companies want me to succeed. And I can tell you, as a manager for said companies that I work with, which is ZPRO and Feelfree at the moment, soon to be announced the new one in the near future. I want my guys to succeed. So I want to talk about that when I come back, but I want to talk about what I put together to show the value of guys that actually put time in for the companies. Be right back.
This is the Rusty Hook Podcast, supporting people and companies that support us. Feelfree Kayaks, paddle, pedal, or power, something for everyone. DuBro Fishing, manufacturer of fishing and marine products for freshwater and saltwater anglers. ZPRO Lithium, high-quality, specifically designed lithium batteries to power your outdoor recreations. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom soft plastics bait maker. You're tuned in to the Rusty Hook Podcast. More than a podcast, but a way of life. From the biggest lakes to the smallest creeks, we are all things kayak fishing. Refresh that drink, turn up the volume, and feel the excitement. It's time for the second half of the show. Live, raw, and unfiltered. Now, let's join the one and only Big Daddy.
Yeah, hey guys, welcome back to the second half of the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. So, I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture here with my guys. So, I'm going to use ZPRO. I had a very good meeting with the owner today and the sales manager. Very pleased that I was able to provide them with some details of what the team did this year. And I had a 5-minute video that I put together with the guys. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just basically my 11 guys from the competitive team, what they did. So, let me pull it up here. Okay, so here, this is the competitive fishing team from ZPRO Lithium. Got 4 guys from Texas, 2 from Pennsylvania, 2 from Georgia, 2 from Alabama. So we had, and 1 from Arkansas. We have 11 guys. And so I broke down. How you doing, Roy? Good to see you, bud. I broke down what they did this year in numbers just to the competitive, for the competitive guys. Now, I've covered up their total expenses, but the expenses were broken down by several categories, and that was like that right there. So we broke it down by their travel. I broke it down by the different licenses they used, where they had to buy licenses at. So if if you're from Pennsylvania and you had to come to West Virginia for a tournament, your travel mileage from your home to the tournament location, plus travel around to fish for each day, the license expense, what you paid for your food to and from, your fuel. We calculated based on, like, for truck mileage, maybe 18 miles per gallon. Lodging expenses for camping, Airbnb, or hotel, and then, of course, what you had to pay to fish the tournament. And then I totaled them all up for each event. And if you had, let's say, 15 events, I did all of that. And that's what I put together for that slide that I showed you here just a second ago, which was this one here. And broke it down so I could show our boss down at ZPRO how these guys traveled over 77,000 miles, just the 11 of them, and spent $65,000. Isn't that crazy? Crazy. I'm telling you. The boys put in road miles, they put in money, they invested in their fishing. And granted, whether we're pro staff or not, some of these guys are hungry. They want to exceed expectation. They want to test their skills against, and I hate it when guys say that they're fishing against you or fishing against me, because you're not. You're fishing against the fish. And it's all about technique and knowledge. Using the knowledge that you've gotten over the years for certain styles of water, rocks, brush, grass, deep water, cold water. So time of year, barometric pressure, all that stuff, and all what it amounts to is experience on the water, and how you've done it. And yeah, and you're right, Roy. And that's just my competitive team that I showed you guys. But what I wanted to talk about there, I guess I sort of lost my train of thought, but you're not fishing against another fisherman. You're fishing against the fish. And you're taking your style of fishing. I'm a West Virginia fisherman. I'm significantly known by my friends and fellow fishermen as a finesse fisherman. I have been picking up power techniques, but that's just not who I am. And everybody always goes back to what they trust, what they believe in. And, when you've made casts after casts for 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, up to an hour with not a bite, you're going to go to that technique that you trust. So, when I went to Susquehanna a couple weeks ago and hung out with the guys from the Pennsylvania Kayak Anglers having their state championship, went out, and I'd been down on the New River before, and Jody Queen and I were talking about techniques, specifically using a jackhammer and a trailer with a jackhammer. And he showed me some stuff. I spent a couple $100, got some stuff, took him up to Susquehanna, set up one pole, and only took 3 poles out on the water with me. I had a top water with a whopper plopper. I had that jackhammer, and I had my Ned rig set up. So, last couple weeks ago, I did a show on my trip up there. Go look it up. It was a great show. Have maps of where I fished. Tried to plot it out for you through Google Earth. And I showed some videos of the different techniques, how I caught fish and where they were at on rocks, off old bridge pylons, and things like that. But the thing that I'm trying to say here is Jody's like, you want to catch big fish, you got to throw that jackhammer, and you got to keep throwing it. Don't put it down. Give it a chance to, cover water. And I did, and I had some success with it. And I want to thank him again, from the bottom of my heart, he's down in Texas with Abby and Casey. They're getting ready to fish Cato. And I know they're down there probably relaxing. Knowing them guys, they're probably not relaxing. They're probably tying on line and sharpening hooks and greasing up reels and getting everything ready for pre-fishing for the rest of the week. Charging batteries, checking the weather for what kind of clothing they need to wear and stuff like that. So, but I just want to give Jody some love for helping me understand how to fish that technique and how and what ways to throw it, where to look to throw it when you've got moving water, and the presentation is everything. And Roy popped on here and made another good comment. He's right. Force confidence if you only throw one lure. And it is. But after I left to Susquehanna, I have a whole lot more confidence in myself to throw that bait in certain situations. So, lesson learned, locked in, and hopefully, if I do go to another event next year, somewhere away from West Virginia, and I do my due diligence, and I study maps, and I look at water, and I find something on the lake that I'm going to that meets the kind of water that I like to fish. That's something else you guys should look at. But I want to talk about. I want to go back a second, and I want to talk about Jody Queen for again. You guys that are aspiring to be the best in the business, Jody is a highly accomplished tournament angler with more than 30 wins out there over the last 8-9 years. He's probably got 10 to 20 at minimum of his tournament wins on major trails. Talking KBF, talking Hobie, the numerous top tens. And I'm sure if you go to Tourney X and look at his angler profile, you'll see just how successful he's been. But I want you to go look at his page, Jody Queen Fishing. Look at how he does his write-ups for the companies that he works with. The guy is an ultimate professional. He gives kudos to the people that support him, and he supports them just as well. He does photo shoots. He goes out and shoots comments, and he'll wear the brand that he helps support. So if you are a pro staffer for a company, hey Dustin, no worries, buddy. Actually, when you sent me that message there a little bit ago, I was running my little 30-minute commercial break here at the halfway point. But it's good, that you look at somebody like Jody Queen, you emulate the way he is as a professional. He's a great angler, and he's a great promotional guy. When he does video, I know he's going to go do some video work here at the end of the month with Z-Man. He'll wear Z-Man stuff. He'll talk about Z-Man products, and he's good to do that anyway. He talks about all the different products that he supports, just like I do when I go out and fish, and I wear their stuff so people can see the companies that I'm trying to represent. And Dustin's got a shop up at Raccoon Creek, and I'm sure that when his boys are out fishing and they go on a trip and they're catching fish, he would love to see a sticker on the side of their boat in the video, or inside their boat on their bars, or a hat in the video, or shirt with Raccoon Creek Outfitters, because it's letting people know that those boys support his store and that they're part of what those guys are involved with. That it's vice versa. So work with you guys. Be more professional with the companies that you support and you love. But again, just show you this one more time. My guys, they killed it this year. 77,000 miles, and the 11 guys spent over $65,000. And, when I presented this to the guys at ZPRO and that they could see that this is just my 11 competitive team members. I have 39 guys total on this team. Walt, how you doing, brother? And good. Yes, you're a perfect example of somebody that absolutely represents the store that he supports. Agreed totally with that comment. So, but what I think most guys need to really consider is that 2024 is over. And one of the things that you need to look at when you're talking to the companies over right now, everybody's starting to look at their last quarter of earnings. They'll have those accountants doing projections for the end of the year based off last year and this year, and they'll start looking at what they're going to do for their marketing budget for 2025. I know that after today's meeting with ZPRO, things are looking good for us for next year, but there are going to be a few changes on how we approach our members. Great team. But, there's always a few people that just do barely what they need to do. And let's face it, some guys just absolutely get burnt out and they're done. And I understand that. I've been there. Hell, I mean, if you guys are followers of me here with the Rusty Hook podcast, you probably noticed I've slowed down a little bit here. And it's not because I don't have content. It's one of the reasons is because I don't want to bother you guys and reach out and say, hey, come on the show and let's talk about something. It gets old, and I don't like to infringe on people's time with their family. So if you want to jump on and talk about kayak fishing, reach out to me. Would love to have you. Oh, yeah, Roy, I know you like to talk. Yeah, we probably need to talk anyway. Let's do that. But it's 2025 marketing is coming around. All the marketing directors will be sitting down with their teams. They'll start sending out applications probably here in the next 3 weeks for the 2025 year. And, read them and look at what's required. And if you can't meet those obligations, just move on. Simple as that. Treat it like a job, like a professional athlete that you're wanting to be. We get traded all the time. We move from one place to another, and we get cut or we get sent down. I manage the Feelfree Fishing team, and I was talking to one of my members today about that team too. And we've had some issues this year because injuries, deaths, sicknesses, illnesses, major catastrophes from the hurricanes have caused us to miss opportunities to do things. And Roy, you took the words out of my mouth. When you miss those opportunities, you have to find other ways to make up to do it. And to do that, it goes back to what I spoke of earlier. It's called communication. You work with the people. You say, hey, I can't meet that obligation for a certain way, but I have another way that I can contribute. And ultimately, it boils down to contribution. Trade shows, retail shows, podcasts, getting out and talking about the products that you use, and why you use them, and whether it doesn't matter if you're a promotional staff with them or not. Heck, I'll tell you right now, I use the hell out of the Fluger, and I'm not part of their promotional staff. Got that President reel on my spinner rods. I got those. I got a few Cast Kings at Speed Reel that they or Speed Caster that they came out with. I tell you, it worked pretty well. I was really impressed with it. I could throw that Whopper Plopper a mile with it on my Trica, another company that I frequently work with, but I'm not a pro staff member. Don't get no breaks. Hashtags, guys. That's funny. I was trying to do some research on my guys to see how they did this year, going through their posts and hashtagging. And when you have two teams that are over 40 men each, I don't want to go through everybody's Facebook page and Instagram page and go look at your YouTubes and try to determine whether or not you were wearing your gear or you're hashtagging products. So I've been looking at all these programs like Tagify, HootNet, Hootsuite, and all these places that can track stuff for you and track hashtags and give you reports on who's used what, what's trending. So a lot of the stuff that I do with those guys is just completely, I trust them that they will do what they say they do. And I spot check. So in the military, if you remember those days, if you're in the military, guys, you would have spot inspections where you would have a platoon of 35 guys, first platoon, and you would call out 5 guys, maybe from the first, each corner of and one in the middle somewhere, and you would do a spot inspection on their rifle. You would do a spot inspection on their uniform, and then you're like, if those 5 guys met or exceeded expectation, then you gave basically credit for the whole group. I know I did when I was a NCO in the Army. When I inspected my guys to make sure, they had everything when we were deployed over in Iraq. MPs had their, I hated to see guys get in trouble. We had a guy that didn't have his, I can't even think of the name of it, carabiner that was hooked to his pistol, tied to his side. He didn't have it hooked up, and we were traveling on a really bad area. And believe it or not, when he was doing his assigned duties in the vehicle as we were moving, his pistol fell out in the road. We had to stop, mount out, and go back and retrieve that weapon. You're talking about a scary thing because, one, you don't want to lose your weapon out there and have somebody use it against another soldier. 2, there was a lot of ass reaming happened right after that. And not only did he get his ass chewed, and his sergeant got his ass chewed, but I got my ass chewed. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, do it right. and do it right the first time. Inspect your stuff, inspect contracts, sign those contracts, meet the obligations. Be a professional and do what's required. That soldier was required to have his stuff on, tied on, hooked up, and he didn't do it. He failed to perform. Anyway, I rambled. I apologize. Got off subject a little bit here and there. Just wanted to talk to you guys and let you know. And I showed you some stuff here from ZPRO, my team, mileage, travel. I'm proud of those guys. They killed it this year. Amazing group of men and women. Traveled over 100. Let's see, how far was it? 23 people. Here, let's pull this slide up here. Total breakdown for the team. This is the total team breakdown. They traveled over 131,000 miles. They spent, well, hell, over $100,000 for license, food, fuel, lodging, and entry fees. I have a report form that I have my guys fill out, and it tells me, where they went, how they did on the tournament, and what those indicators there, what they traveled, how much they spent on food, license, fuel, lodging, and entry fees. So I can track expenses. And now you see why I do it that way, because I want to go back to the company. Because when you're a mid-level manager, you don't only work for the company, but I work for the pro staff member too. I work for the guys that work for the company. And I want to be able to show their worth. And I was able to do that from these guys, and I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. Granted, let's see what did you say, Roy, here? I email any good performing campaigns to the companies that I promote, even if they don't support me. Hey, and you know what? And what you're doing there is building relationships, and you're showing integrity. You're showing that working with you would be a positive thing. So kudos to you, buddy. Guys, appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. Make sure when you are out on the water that you're always wearing your PFD. And make sure you let somebody know where you're at, where you're traveling to and from, locations, times, and all the etc. It's fall here in the mountains of Appalachia, mid-Atlantic area, and water temperatures are going to be dropping quickly. Time's changing. It's important to let family and friends know where you're at. Stay safe. And again, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night.